Kלים Perik Chavav Mishnah Tes. Orushu Tomim Medras. You have a piece of cloth, a piece of leather which is already Tomim Medras. This is not a kli, it's just a piece of leather. We said before that once a piece of leather has a shear of hey al hey tfachim, it's already Tomim Medras. This piece of leather is Tomim Medras. For Choshav alav l'tzuos for sandalin. Person says, right, I now want to change this piece of leather from being a stump piece of leather, and I want to cut it up and turn it into sandals, ritzuos, into bootlaces, into straps of leather. Of course, just his machshava is not enough to take away the Kabbalah's tumah, because a machshava is not enough to be makel and to say this is now not a finished piece of oil. However, says the Mishnah, Kivin Shenosaboisa Ismail Tohar Divi Rabbi Huda. Says Rabbi Huda, as soon as you take your scissors, your knife, and you do the first cut, just beginning to break it, although it's not actually broken at all, it's still a piece of leather. Says Rabbi Huda, as soon as you've done this first little cut, it's already toir. Rabbi Huda holds that, anochanama, if you didn't cut it in order to change it to a kli, you just cut it, that doesn't change the status of the leather. But because here you actually want to be mishaneh, this piece of oil, to a new type of kli, Rabbi Huda holds the first cut which does that is mitayr the kli. That's called a shever. It's not because it's called a shever kli. You've now ruined the status of the stam oil. It's actually quite a difficult shitta to understand. The Mefarshim don't really explain it. In fact, they have quite a few kashas on shittas Rabbi Yehuda. But let's move on to the Chachamim, because the Chachamim is the one we can understand easily. Say the Chachamim, Achi ma'atenu pochos mehei tfachim. You've got this piece of leather. You're going to cut and cut and cut until you're down, until you cut the leather. So now you do not have a piece of hei tfachim mehei tfachim. It is not called a shever kli. You haven't got a shever of the oil. Once you go past hei tfachim, it's now broken and it's not able to be mekabel tumah. But until you reach that stage, it's still called a piece of oil and is roi to be mekabel tumah b'toras medras. The Mishnah carries on. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Tzadok Omer, Afa oise mitbachas mino oil tmeo. Similarly, if you have a piece of leather, an oil which is made for a carpet, for a rug, a shetiach, and you say, right, I'd like to change this to a mitpachas, which is a towel. The Mishnah says later on, in Perik Chavches Mishnah Hey, that when you change a kli, a piece of oil poshut, to another kli poshut, as we're doing here, changing a rug to a towel, that's called a shinoi, which is not a real shinoi, because every kli poshut is similar to every other kli poshut. There's actually no shinoi Hashem in changing a kli poshut to a kli poshut. No difference if it's called a shetiach or a mitpachas. We'll see that Mishnah says later on, Kol sheshinohu lishmoi tomei. Bartanura says that means mikli poshut to likli poshut, and the same here. Therefore, you've done nothing, and it's the same piece of oil that it was before, and it's able to be mekabel tumah. Says Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Tzadok, however, umina keses Torah. This view is actually backing up the shit of Rabbi Yehuda. You've got a piece of leather which is roy to be a shetiach, a piece to be a rug, and you've got a piece of oil which is a keses. It is now a kli kibble. It's a leather cushion, and now you want to change it to a mitpachas. You want to change it to a kli poshut. You want to cut up the keses in order for it to be changed from a kli kibble to a kli poshut. And just like at the beginning of the Mishnah, Rabbi Huda says, if you cut an oil to change to ritzuos and sandalin, all you've got to do is got to make that first cut. And that's enough to say that I've started the process of breaking it, and therefore it's considered to be broken already. Same here, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Tzadok is backing up Rabbi Huda and saying, as soon as you do the first cut and you begin to change the keses to a mitpachas, therefore, at that stage, it's already Torah. This is the view of Rabbi Huda. The Chachamim say, no, you've actually got to cut enough so that you have now ruined what was there originally. In the case of the oil, you've got to cut it till you've got no heitvachim left. And in the case of the keses, they would hold, you've actually got to ruin it enough that it's not able to be a keses anymore. Baruch Hashem, that's Perik Chavav. And now we come to Perik Chav Zayin. And especially Mishnah Aleph, that's a real important Mishnah.